Hi, I'm Dave Crane, and here I am in the Maldives. I've chosen to do a special video for you, actually in the gym. Why? Because a gym shouldn't really be a normal place for doing a video, even a motivational video, but look at the view that I'm looking at. How stunning is this? All the equipment gives you a view of the sea. Over here, if I walk over, you can see where people do yoga and meditation. And it's got a kind of serenity about it that allows you to realize that when you get things right, everything becomes so much easier to achieve. So today I want to share with you a couple of speaker tips. Some of them I've mentioned before, but most of them will be new to you. And I want them to be new because I think they can be very relevant for you. Things I'm going to share with you are things that when you put them into perspective, you'll find you can fast track. Now, I believe that there's room for everybody in every business. I really honestly do. I believe that when you put your mind to it, you can find a way to get people to follow you, to spend money with you, and to want to be with you. Your message, your story is super effective, but it has to be relevant, and it has to be what they want to know, and what they want to pay for, what they're interested in. If you think it's all about you, then think again. Your actual story has very little to do with you, even if it's all about the stuff that you've done and how you've done it. The truth is, the story is only relevant when you think about what's in it for them. So let's wind back a little bit. Let's take it to a slightly different area. Let's start with you thinking, how do I become a speaker? Where do I start? Now, you might already gone past this stage, but supposing you're starting from scratch and thinking, well, I've got a story, I've got interesting things that I should share with people, but who's going to be interested in hearing it? Don't worry about that. That's a secondary concern. I guarantee that whatever your story is, some people will want to know about it. I've seen TED Talks, I've watched speakers talk about things that I would normally have no interest in, but the way they put it across, the way they sold it to me, the types of involvement that they had with the audience, and the content that they shared was so spellbinding that I'm so glad that I spent those 20 minutes, half an hour, sometimes even an hour in their presence. So you may say, I'm not really good at public speaking. In fact, I'm petrified. It's all tricks and tools and techniques. I promise you that, say there's 20 things you need to be a great speaker. 3 of them involve getting over the fear of public speaking. If you do the other 17 correctly, you'll end up with an amazing presentation. You won't notice a fear of public speaking, and within a very short amount of time, like 10 seconds, the audience will have warmed to you and will want to work with you. And then you just got to keep them engaged and make sure you finish off the right way with a massive round of applause and hopefully at the end of it a check. So what kind of things are people interested in talking about? Well, let's put it in perspective. Anything. Any subject whatsoever, you can find an audience that wants to know about it. Anything you can Google, you can find an audience that wants to know about it. But then again, if it is something really specific and something small, your audience will be specific and small. If you can make it more generic and tailor-make it for the audience you've got in front of you, then you'll find that that basic speech will be able to be used all across the world with all sorts of audiences. It's got to be a little bit personal, but more about them. So what kind of ways can you speak? Well, if you're an author or you're interested in writing, then you don't necessarily have to speak out loud. You can write it, you can create infographics, you can do podcasts, you can do your own TV show, you can put them all together. But one of the sweet spots, one of the things that people can't argue with is when you turn up in person. And when you are there in person, if you don't want to talk to a room full of people, then you miss out on an opportunity, you disappoint them, and you leave a gap for them to follow somebody else who can talk. So sometimes you've got to jump and grow wings on the way down. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having some fear and thinking, how does this come together? I don't really know how to do it. The key to it is to start off by asking better questions. Really. Ask yourself, how do I do this? Where do I start? Who should I talk to? What about getting my gigs? How do I get my gigs? I'll give you a very quick tip. First thing is make sure that you are very sticky. I don't mean creepy. I mean make sure that when somebody Googles you, they find a load of stuff all around you. Not just your social media. That's easy to create. Well, it's not easy, but it means constant attention, and you must always stay marketing. But you should have a very simple website that does everything it says on the tin. If you've got a website that says you do a number of different things, Google will punish you. They'll put somebody higher than you with a website that says they only do one thing. So if you're going to be a speaker, regardless of the subject, say I'm a speaker on this subject. Don't say I'm a speaker, I'm a plumber, I'm a painter, I'm a long-distance lorry driver and all the rest of it, because if they're things that have separate pages and all the interest that you're trying to sell those things on, you might find Google goes no, and you might also find your customers go no. So make sure that you have a website that links to your social media. If you want to, create a TV show. It doesn't have to be a massive TV show. It doesn't even have to be like the Oprah Winfrey show. It just has to be video. Relevant video. And the sweet spot is actually about 60 seconds. I've had more response from 60-second 1-minute videos than I've had from doing much longer ones, which are much more informed, with a lot more contacts, a lot more detail, a lot more content. People are saying, well, you know what, that's really nice, but I'm on the way to work, I don't have time, I'll see it later, and sometimes they never do. Make it concise, make it to the point, brag a little bit about the content that we're going to get from doing it, but you can make a great TV show on a regular basis by creating that. You can also do an interview show, you can also do a cooking show, you can also do, look how I make things out of wood show. All you need is the equipment that I've got right now. And you're looking at me, as I mentioned, here in the Maldives. Look at the view. I'm very early, people haven't quite got out of bed yet. I'm in the gym, which is on the end of a jetty here in a gorgeous island, part of the Coco resorts called Boduhithi. So, as I was saying, all you need to have is a phone, and this is an iPhone 7 I'm using, and a tripod with a selfie stick on it. That's it. Wherever I go, I can create videos. Sometimes I don't even have that, I just have my phone, as you may have seen. You hold it at arm's length, and you maybe rotate a bit so we can see the background, not so much so it becomes nauseating, but enough to prove that you are real. People want real people. They don't want it to be too polished. If they do feel it's too polished, they suspect there might be a rat involved, as in a commercial reason, in which case it has to be BBC, CNN, Fox quality. They want you, your real life, the real person you are. So you create all this different content. It could be interview shows, it could be your thoughts, it could be an ongoing diary, you could merge Snapchat and a load of different stuff together to make compilations and put them out. You choose your format, you choose your platform, you choose your message. One of the best ways to grab an audience is to declare war on something, have an enemy. My enemy is really about public speaking. People's inability to do public speaking because they didn't learn it properly at school. They learned at school to shut up, sit down, behave, and then you'll get a qualification that'll get you a job which no longer exists. Now they're paying a fortune to get that education for a job that's never going to come back again, might even be automated, and they're going to go into huge debt. And they still don't know how to do public speaking. And in fact, they don't know how to get on with people because they didn't really like the situation they were thrown into and didn't get taught the skills of networking or how to influence or how to create great relationships. Why? Because the system doesn't have it as a curriculum, didn't value it. And the teachers don't know either. Now, I'm not saying this is true for every school, but I'm not far off. That's my personal enemy. Not education, but a little bit of education. So who do you get angry about? What is it that you want to change? What would you like to add to the system to make it more effective? Now you've got to ask the question, who wants it? Can I produce it? Do I love doing it so I'm never going to get bored? And will people pay for it? You could be an origami expert. You could be the best origami expert at making paper planes that fly for a mile. And most people say, I don't care. Well done. Don't care. I'm not paying for that. So maybe you have to find something that's a really interesting angle. Maybe the angle for the origami plane thing is how to interest your kids. How to find things that kids will be interested in when they're bored. Or maybe it's an aviation question. Or maybe it's a team building exercise to build a really big one. And this is how you can get your team interested at work. There's lots of different angles to the same thing. You just have to work out exactly what yours is and how to monetize that too. Now, I'm not saying you have to monetize everything. You really don't. But if you really want to make the most out of it, people should pay. I find people all the time, speakers or wannabe speakers, coming up to me and saying, oh yeah, I've done this gig, I've done that gig, and I didn't get paid for it, but you know what, I had a great time doing it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And certainly at the beginning of your career, you should consider working for free. But at some point, you've got to pay bills. When you speak to people, you make their life easier. You do something that allows them to move forward, saving time on Google, saving time on getting a coach, and saving hard years of getting it wrong. That's worth something to people, and they should pay at some point. Now, when it comes to getting your fee, ideally, cash, Bitcoin, whatever. Get something tangible that you can go to somewhere else and spend and get stuff that's for you. You can barter, you can get services, you can also even do a gig for somebody if they video it and give you the social media. Just taking photos, taking some video, and maybe doing a testimonial. Sometimes that's very useful, especially if it's a really big gig with a load of different speakers on. If you want to position yourself as somebody that gets hired a lot, you don't have to say you didn't get paid. People will assume that you did. Unless they're speakers and they know the gig. So you want to have something. Now here's the thing, if you don't get paid in some way, shape or form, and you do it for free, you'll get treated like dust. By the organizer, by the event. Not by the audience is audience. Because they don't value you because you didn't put a value to yourself. If you're going to work for somebody, then put together a barter and say, this is what it would cost normally, what can you give me back to cover that cost? It might be a load of restaurant vouchers. It might be they introduce you to somebody who is otherwise unapproachable. It might be that they send out a mailing list to you or mail that list on your behalf to potentially give you gigs in the future. You work out what makes it worthwhile. But one of the things is, when it comes to negotiating money, pitch really high. Pitch for more than you expect to get. They will offer you less than they want to pay for you, but it's a trick. It's all smoke screens. Then agree to meet somewhere in the middle. Once you've decided that's what you're going to get paid, do not bring up the subject anymore. They know you're excellent. That's why they hired you. You know you're very good. Don't just say, I told you so, where's the rest of my money? Because then you'll offend everybody, and it's not just about the event that you do. If you're a proper speaker, if you really want to put the business around it, you're always marketing and moving forward. That same person you want to have worked with and work with again, or maybe not work with again. That's your choice, but you do not want them to turn around to people and say, don't work with that guy. That girl's got a massive ego. They're a real challenge. And you know what? I wish I'd never hired them. And they were rude to my audience. And every time I saw them, they were demanding this and demanding that. And you don't want that. Be humble. Be easy to work with. You can always turn around to any clients or any potential clients and say no. I turn down gigs. I turned down return work with clients on some of the biggest stages because they were impossible to deal with. They had massive egos, they didn't do it properly, they made a load of mistakes, or they put me in a position where I just didn't want to be doing the stuff that we agreed to do. I wasn't doing what we said we'd do. I was doing something different and bailing them out of a real situation where they should have got their act together and really done their homework and organised it. I won't say which events, I won't say which people. None of them are relevant, but I'll always share it with the speaker, same as event organisers will always tell each other who the good speakers are and who they should be working with. So what about your content? Everyone says to me, Dave, it's a challenge. How am I going to find something to talk about to my audience? And I can understand that completely. Well, let's start. Here's a fast track. Use Google. There's no subject, or very few subjects, that haven't been covered already. Now, I'm not saying plagiarize, because if you do, you'll be caught out. Somebody will find it, somebody will have read the same article, or they'll chase it up afterwards and go, you stole their material. You could even end up with a video that goes online and the original artist, original writer, original author turns around and contacts you directly saying, that is my material. But there's nothing wrong with repurposing. There's nothing wrong with getting their material and crediting them. Saying, yeah, I had a really good idea about a ring. This ring was taken by somebody who nobody really respected, very small, but disposed of it in a massive volcano while being attacked by lots of really strange supernatural people with swords. You know what? It's The Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien. You've got to read it. Amazing book. Here's what I learned from reading The Hobbit, or watching the movie, or chatting to a real hobbit. There's no real hobbits. So you can use that material, but you have to be honest and open about it. And people can handle that. You might think they're going to say, oh my goodness, no. You're a fake. Not if you give the fake up front. The other day, I was watching TV on CNN, and we had an amazing speaker who came on and shared this idea with you. His name is blah, blah, blah. That's not his real name. But the things I learned are these. Now, I position myself as an interpreter of information. That's still a wise man. That's still a sage. That's still somebody who's worth listening to. Why? Because people are short of time. If they want to know more, they will Google the person themselves. We'll find out who they are, maybe watch the same thing, and maybe we'll get in contact, I don't know. And it doesn't really matter that much. What really does matter is that you've got some content and some material. On your hard drive, on your laptop, you can do it on your mobile device, but it's a bit more challenging to find. Create what's called a presentation arsenal. It's a folder, and in there you put all the videos, all the PDFs, all the PowerPoints, all the documents, all the ideas, and you contribute to them all the time. Any audios that come along, you go, you know what, that's a really smart move. Or it might be a Word document with a load of websites that you've looked at, which have some great content that you want to repurpose and go back and maybe copy elements of the website to put into your own website. That presentation arsenal, put it on your Dropbox or put it on your clouded space. So wherever you are, you can access it. You might find that you're at an event and going, oh, these guys, they're all from a certain part of America, or they're all from China. What can I talk to them about? Oh, there's a thing I looked at the other day. Where is it? If you've got it in your presentation arsenal, you can get access to it. You might also find that there's generic material in there that you can substitute last minute to change the relationship with the audience by putting it at the beginning of your presentation. So you don't have to do the heavy lifting. So for instance, if I want to share with people the way that blockchain is revolutionizing the way that people are going to do business, I might miss out on certain things. And the audience might not really have an interest in blockchain. They might want to know, as every audience wants to know, what's in it for me. So if I get a 2-3 minute video from YouTube, put that at the beginning, and it's got 10 ways that blockchain will change your life. That video means I don't have to do any heavy lifting. It's got graphics, it's got music, it's got a voiceover, it's got simple bullet points. I can come on the back of that and turn around and say, right, now you've seen this, let me share with you what that means to you in the world of cuisine. As a chef, The blockchain will mean that you've got a different way of supplying stuff. It means that you can put recipes out there and they'll be attributed back to you because of the nature of smart contracts. It means that you can travel around the world and also be appreciated because you can set up stuff on there that people can pay for in advance, and if you don't turn up, they don't pay you. There's a number of different things that you can do with a blockchain, and I'm just making it up and spitballing as we go. But the point is that you don't have to learn all those subjects. You just have to be able to distribute it the right way and interpret it in a way that they'll be able to get inside their heads. And yes, they will pay for that. So what are the do's and don'ts of being a great speaker? Well, there are no definitive ways of guaranteeing a result. But what you can do is stack it in your favor. You need a great opening. You need a great ending. You need to go through the whole presentation, make sure it's tailor-made for that audience, and you taste test all the way through like a live cooking show to make sure they're engaged. Do little feedback loops to hear the sound, get the visuals, get the feeling. Getting the feeling is a challenge. I find talking to people when I'm training them about public speaking can be difficult for them to understand. When you get an audience right and they're into you, it's the same as walking into a room with your phone and going, well, there's Wi-Fi in here, I wonder what the code is. You get the code correct and it's plain sailing. They are your people, but you've got to do it a certain way. You've got to get them to buy into you. And it doesn't mean necessarily that they're the same as you, but it does mean that they want to value you. And they do. Audiences honestly don't want to sit there and see somebody die, or somebody make a real fool of themselves, or be so embarrassed that they never, ever, ever stand up in front of an audience again. What they will take that if they have to, and they'll probably get it on Facebook for you, or Instagram. This is how that speaker made a real fool of themselves. But by and large, they really want it to be effective. They want you to be effective. They want you to turn around and say, wow, this is what I want to share with you. I hope it works. And at the end of it, they go, fantastic. Changed our life. In fact, let's stay in contact. In fact, maybe I can buy your stuff from you. Do you have the book? Do you have a website I can follow? You have social media that I can start, being a fan of? And you can monetize a relationship later? They love all that stuff. So it's worthwhile thinking about. Now, if you're now worried about where you start, or quite honestly, you're thinking, who's going to listen to me? All you have to do is turn on the TV and find out who people are listening to. If you go on YouTube, there are thousands and thousands of teenagers, pre-teens, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, all with thousands of viewers, sometimes hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of followers. And what do they talk about? What they're interested in. It's usually packaged really well by their parents, who can see the commercial aspects that involve it, or they would be interested in. But it doesn't have to be. You have a dialogue going on inside your head all the time. All you have to do is find a way to make that dialogue come out through your mouth and share it with people. You are already a brand. You don't have to be a global brand, not yet. You just have to be a brand and believe it in yourself. And people will follow you, and they'll find you, and they'll value you. If you don't value yourself, it's never going to happen. If you tell yourself I can't do it, guess what your mind's going to do? Your mind is a supercomputer that will function on anything you put inside it. That's why when people watch the news, they have a terrible day and think about how horrible the world is. Doesn't quite work like that. Whatever you feed in is a software that you'll react to. Whatever you're interested in is what your brain will react to. So if it's negative stuff, you'll think negative stuff, because it'll find more examples of negative stuff to share with you. That's why when you see positive people, they're not necessarily positive all the time. You just found a very efficient way of turning it around. So every problem becomes a challenge. Every tragedy becomes an obstacle that they have to overcome. And they use those words and terms to become second nature. So the brain goes, okay, don't know what to do with this, but let's find a way. You need to find a way. When you work on your brand and you work on who you are, then take it in little steps. What you'll find is, because 90% of people have a fear of public speaking, you don't have to be the best speaker in the room, you just have to be the person that is speaking and stay relevant. There could be somebody who's got a much more interesting story than you, or knows the subject much better than you, but you're the one speaking, so who cares what they think? Your choices are your own. And I can tell you, after many years of being a public speaker, I've traveled around the world. It's taken me to amazing places like here in the Maldives. Look at this. Isn't that just incredible? I don't know how easily you can see it, but see these water villas here? They've all got butlers. See that view out there? Another island? Yeah? There's an island across the way here, and I'll show it to you. If we can see it from this view, it's quite cloudy. The island across the way here is where all the celebrities, movie stars, pop stars come to stay. A lot of sports stars come as well. I don't think you can quite see it from this angle, but trust me, if we walked about 200 yards down the way, past those trees down there, then I'd be able to point out exactly where the island is. They pay $35,000 a day to stay on this exclusive private island where they only have 12 villas. Doesn't mean they're all taken up, but it does mean they don't go to anybody else during that time, and the stars pay for it. You can decide where you want to be. You can decide if you want to look out the window and see a bird that's just arrived, that realizes it's so peaceful and so chilled out that you don't necessarily have to worry about a single thing. Now, I've given you a couple of tips now about public speaking. I'm going to share with you a couple of ideas about motivation, and then I'll put this video to sleep for a little while. I will urge you though, if you're interested in the stuff I'm talking about, if you believe that you could work with me, join one of my speaker groups. I'll tell you how we can work together after that. I share free content all the time, daily videos, daily ideas, and they are for free. Because I want you to be better. You might never see me, might never talk to me, might never send me a message. That's fine. But it's my own personal vision, my own personal mission to make the world a better place by teaching people to think differently. All the things that I had to deal with when I was growing up are the things that I don't want anybody else to have to go through. Don't get me wrong, I didn't have a terrible life, but it could have been so much better if I'd known the things that I know now. And that's why I share them with you. So make sure you contact me. Go to my LinkedIn, my Facebook, through my Instagram, or my Twitter. Contact me directly. Go to my website, davecraneglobal.com, and just send me a message. And I promise you, myself or one of my team will get back to you. So let's talk about motivation. And we'll finish there. Supposing you've got 1 hour left in the last day of your life. You've got your family around you. And they love you, and they care for you, and they're feeling sorry for the experiences and how sad it is that you're going to disappear finally. Can you honestly turn around and say, I gave it my best shot? Can you honestly say, I'm happy with every single thing I did with my life? Because if you can't, then maybe you need to do something about it, because time disappears. You'll never get this time back again. The video that I've made for you now, this video, if you didn't watch it or you switched off, you're obviously not watching now. You don't know what I'm saying right now. All I gave was content and ideas. All you have to do is make the most of the hours that you have. And it is easy. When you realize that time is ticking, you'll never get it back again, you start realizing that the commercial world is set up to sell you a car, a phone, best clothes, holidays, whatever it is, going to there to make a savings scheme, all this kind of stuff has been set up before you came along, and you can tell it all to go away. It's about you. Because one day, there'll be no you left. But here's an interesting concept. Depending on your spiritual beliefs, you might buy into it, you might not buy into it. Life after death. is not about coming back again, getting reincarnated as a fish or as a person again. What if your life after death is the things that you share, the ideas that you created, and the people that you touched and reached remember you once you're no longer there? These are the concepts that keep me motivated. I do my stuff for my daughter, I do my stuff to help people, and I hope with this I've helped you. I look forward to your response, and I hope that you got as much from this video as I got from sharing it with you. Now, I'm going to leave you. Have an amazing day, and thanks for your time, and welcome to the Maldives.